Hello everybody. Today we are in the High Sierra at around 10,000 feet. And I got word that there is a old ranching cabin out in the meadow up here, and I'm kind of curious to go and check it out. The first Americans to encounter the Owens Valley arrived as early as the 1820s, when mountain man Jedediah Smith surveyed the peaks of the Sierra. In 1845, John C. Fremont, Kit Carson, and Richard Owings, for whom the valley is named, passed through on Fremont's third expedition. By the mid to late 1800s, the valley had become home to a long ranching tradition. Each summer, cattle were driven up the rugged Hockett Trail or Launcha Pass into the high meadows, where the animals grazed among the towering Sierra peaks. Back in the 1850s, 1860s, the first American settlers came to the Owens Valley, 7,000 feet below where we're at here. In the summertime, it was far too hot to keep their cattle and their sheep down below because it gets well over 100 degrees on a regular basis. They'd spend the summers grazing their cattle in a meadow a lot like this. In fact, in this meadow, if we look closely, we'll see old cow pies. These cow pies here are probably 20, 30, 40, maybe 50 years old. Settlers who arrived soon after knew the difficulty that raising cattle in this Great Basin desert would be. Yet with the prospect of open country and the wild, beautiful land, cowboys, lumbermen, and miners still flocked to the region. By the late 1800s, they had established ranches. They weathered the rough winters and in the summers drove their cattle to the higher terrain of the lush Sierra meadows. Here we're gonna head across the meadow here and then over into those pines across the way there. And then the plan is to kind of circumnavigate over that dune there and beyond and check out the magical peaks of the High Sierra there. It's not difficult to imagine cowboys spending long summer days gazing at the high peaks, lost in a dream. Check out these beautiful High Sierra peaks off in distance, rising. Those ones right there, probably 13,000 feet. You can imagine the winter, what this place looks like. This area is a renowned marmot spotting area. There are lots of marmots that live in the rocks up here. They like to live somewhere above 10,000 feet where it gets nice and cold, and they have lots of grass to make their bedding for the winter. They make a high-pitched chirping sound. Sounds like a marmot. The marmots make that chirping sound as a way to warn other marmots in the area that there's a clear and present danger. Apparently, that's us. In this alpine meadow, marmots have carved intricate tunnel systems beneath the boulders. By day, they emerge to bask in the sun and gather grasses, but the meadow is never entirely safe. Moments later, a coyote slipped out of the sagebrush. Perhaps the marmot had sensed something we hadn't. An unseen danger moving silently across the meadow. Was she searching for a marmot to make her evening meal? Shortly thereafter, we spotted this juvenile bald eagle perched on a small boulder. Although her primary diet is fish, the eagle will eat small game. Was she too scanning the meadow for a marmot, competing with the coyote for tonight's meal? For the marmot, every day in this meadow is a test of survival. Coyotes stalk the grasses, eagles watch from the skies, danger is everywhere, and the marmot must rely on speed, shelter, and luck just to live another day. And there became a whole kind of like cowboy culture. Every summer they'd come up here from all over different parts of the Owens Valley, from Olancha, from Lone Pine, from Bishop, and spend summers and built cabins as well. And so the cabin that we're looking for today is one of those cabins. It's really kind of like a cultural ecosystem up here. You know, the famous Meadow, not more than maybe 10-15 miles south of us here, and there's trails that go all along this plateau up here. And they come up here in the summers for rodeos and grazing and bring their families. It was just a different time before the Wilderness Act, I believe it was, of 1964. And then slowly after that, grazing rights became more restrictive. And now I'm sure there are grazing permits for areas like this, but not as common.
Since 2006, all commercial grazing permits for the Horseshoe Meadow area have been discontinued in an effort to protect the riparian habitat.
All right, we're almost crossed through this meadow here. We're gonna end up on this dune, and then we're gonna go over and into the trees, see where it leads us.
I'll share another interesting piece of history from this area. In the 1920s, the city of Los Angeles applied for a permit to divert water from here and from nearby Cottonwood Creek into a proposed 40-acre reservoir at Horseshoe Meadow. Because that reservoir was never built, the meadow remains a reminder of how differently this landscape might have looked if the plan had gone forward.
So we're gonna cross through this island here and then back out the other side. This area that we're currently on reminds me a lot of the Tula-Tulabo area near Monachi Meadow.
Monachi Meadow is just about 15 miles due south and can easily be reached by a day hike from this area. Although this area was frequented by the Paiute, many of the tribes in the Eastern Sierra interacted through trade.
So we haven't found ancient artifacts, but we have found signs of the cow camp. This is clearly a fire ring. You could see there's some charcoal, and there's other signs like this bottle cap here, or jar cap, and there's some glass here. So clearly people hung out here. Looks like they were using this to sit on. So there's some kind of structure over here. I'm gonna guess that it's some kind of snow level marker, but let's go over and check it out. Cemented into the ground, pretty good. Here's this cement base with a metal pole going up. On the top marker up there, it says 13. There's a very faint trace of 13. All right, guys, we are still wandering around these meadows. There's kind of a trail right here, and so I think we're gonna find it.
As we crossed through this other part of the meadow, we once again saw our friend the coyote out on the hunt.
Alright guys, I think after a couple hours of exploring that we have found the cow camp cabin. Let's go check it out. See what's remaining from a time when this area was really the land of cowboys. There it is, guys. This is an old cow camp, or what's known as a line shack, and this was constructed way back in the day as part of the Hockett Trail, which was meant to connect the east side, Owens Valley, with the west side, so that cattle grazers could spend time up here in the summer.
In the late 1800s, a man by the name of John Hockett established a trail leading from the greener slopes of the western Sierra over the Kern Divide toward Horseshoe Meadow and beyond. Cow camps sprang up, and over the next century, they provided shelter for cattlemen grazing their herds during the long days of summer.
And so this is one of many cow camps that you can find in this general area. The last time it was restored was about 50 years ago in 1975. And some guy came out here and he re-chinked the logs, and he put in an old stove that he found at a general store and put on a door and fixed the windows. But as you can see, the Forest Service has let this thing go into disrepair, unfortunately. So here's the inside of the cabin. It looks like it's gone into some degree of disrepair. This roof is really low. I mean, this must be about 4 feet tall, 4.5 feet right there. Windows are boarded up, but there's some glass there. There's shelving, more shelving over here. There's a nice wooden table, the old makings of a bed spring frame. Another shelf over here. Lots of inscriptions. 2013, 58. Wow. Lots of inscriptions. Some nails, hang things on. Another window back here. Pretty interesting place.
Inside the old cow camp at Horseshoe Meadow, the walls are etched with initials and dates scratched by ranch hands as far back as the late 1950s. Those simple marks, just names and numbers, have outlasted seasons of snow, rain, and wind. They're reminders that this weathered cabin has stood both as a shelter and a witness, holding on to the quiet traces of people who passed through. In a way, it's less a building and more of a living record, its timbers carrying forward a moment in history that might otherwise have been forgotten.
Here on the ground is the chimney cap. American Metal Products. Oh man, it's hard to see this kind of stuff because you want to see this cabin in good condition. I wonder who's going to watch this video and take it upon themselves to bring up their mules and give this place some love. Found all this information on a blog post online. The guy said he also reshingled the roof. So let's take a look. How is this looking after 50 years? Maybe that guy is probably now is in his old age, but maybe one day someone else will come out here and try to give this cabin some love so it can last another 50 years. Look how this chinking is combined with like a wire mesh here. It's like cement combined with wire mesh to keep it in there. That's what's kind of getting pulled out. All right, guys, this has been a really fun adventure. We did not know if we were going to find this cabin today or what we were going to find, but pretty satisfying to check out this cabin behind us and just spend some time out here in this amazing landscape. So I want to thank you guys for coming along with us on this journey. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment, let us know you came along, and we'll see you next time.